Well, as most of you know, at this point in the show, I always like to feature a musical tribute, especially created for my guest. And what usually happens is YouTube issues a mild warning saying you can't monetize this channel because of the music you're using. And I always give appropriate copyright information in the description box. In this case, apparently we went a bit too far with the Beatles video, and so I understand that we've had to therefore edit it out. It can be seen though at my Vimeo channel, and information is on the screen for that right now. And then please enjoy the rest of the show. Good day everybody, and welcome to Bardcast 10, where, as you probably know by now, every other Sunday we peer behind the mask and ask, who was that masked man? Today is December 20th, 2020, and so let's see what the Sonnets calendar has to say about today. For those of you who don't know yet, there's a system I believe that the Bard was using. It works like this. We overlay the sonnets onto a 365-day calendar, like so. And there are 154 sonnets, so we lay them like this across so that sonnet 1 is January 1, sonnet 32 is February 1, and you end up at June 3rd, where the 154 sonnets run out. You just start again at June 4th, lay another 154 in, and start again at November 5th, and that takes you all the way to the end of the year. So what he's done is he has a map now. I'm not saying that the sonnets are a calendar day by day. That's not what's happening. If there are any specific days that he wants to reference, though, something special like the Queen's birthday, the Queen's death, the Queen's funeral, other specific days that are important in the Shakespeare mystery, we've got the whole thing where he's got it laid out, and we've got December 20th is today. That's today's date. And so, what sonnet does that refer to? Sonnet 46. And that's how he manages to map it so that we've got everything happening, and you can see, okay, that sonnet is going to have some reference in it to that particular date and what was going on. That sonnet starts with "Mine iron heart at a mortal war," describing how each sees different aspects of the object of one's affection. So later in today's show, I'll be giving you a preview of some of the exciting news in which that number 46 plays a prominent role. So as you know, today is the start of the winter solstice, and a once in nearly 400 years conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. So there's lots happening. First, I want to introduce my very special guest today, Robyn Davis. She's a self-described creative, tech-savvy artist, intuitive strategist, and branding alchemist. Whatever that is, we'll ask her. I'm going to let Robyn herself explain that. She has 30 years of pioneering experience in marketing, technology, innovation, and social media. She serves as Director of Promotions at 2 Robert Edward Grant companies, Crown Sterling and Strathspey Crown, and was a featured presenter and guide on our recent trip to Egypt. Robyn's going to be telling us all about her latest brainchild, the Mothership Alliance, whose stated purpose is basically to clean house. So first, I'm going to watch a brief promo video about what her latest project is, and then introduce her. Wow, that was powerful stuff. Welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me
Oh,
today. And I'm looking forward to this because we always have a good time.
you could say that.
Yeah, could say that.
So we're going to get to what all that was about in due time. We're going to have a fun day today. But so that people can kind of know what our relationship is, why don't you just kick it off? Tell us, how did we meet? I seem to remember it was fireworks. How did we meet? It's over to you. Tell
Oh yeah, this is I'll try to give you the highlight reel.
us.
So it was probably about 2014. 2014, I was just post-divorce and I was doing some healing, and I was referred to some healers named Diane and Ivor, and they do thought form healing. And I went up and I did a healing session on the mountain up by Lake Hughes, and they told me that there was a wolf church, and it was a wolf sanctuary where they were, and that they held church on Sunday. And my daughter Lily is a very I call her Dr. Doolittle. So I'm like, no way, I'm not taking her to Wolf Church. We're going to Wolf Church. If for nothing else, and this Midwest girl transplanted to California can tell the story that I went to Wolf Church, right? So I go to Wolf Church, and it was 3 days after my healing, and I brought my children, and it was actually 4 days after, it was a few days after Robin Williams died. I'll never forget this day. And I went to, I turned around. They weren't there at first, Diane and Ivor. After the service, the one wolf kept roaming around. I'll tell this story. And then I knew, I was like, it's going to sit by Lily. And it did. So she's sitting there petting the wolf. I turn around, and Diane and Ivor are there, and they're with a friend of theirs that I had noted earlier. And one of the things that we'll talk about is on this show and about me is that I do have quite a few spiritual gifts in my toolbox. And I turned around and I was being introduced to this friend, and Spirit said, his name is Michael. And we were talking and everything, and I said, what was your name again? He goes, it's Michael. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Pretending I didn't already know that. And so then what transpired very quickly was Diane said, I think you guys have work to do together. We're on the same vein and train in terms of lessening humanity's suffering and justice and all of these things. And I found out about a project that he was working on with a justice court.
And this is Michael Dunn.
Michael Henry Dunn,
who was on our very first opening Bardcast. He was co-guest with Michael Delahoy. Yeah. So people know of him. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So as we ended up connecting up that next week, and I don't even remember the rapid fire pace under which we unfolded, starting working together on this International Human Rights Justice Court project. And at that point, I started to find out about his Oxfordian Shakespeare background. And it was calling up all of these things for me that I had ended up on a Shakespeare loving route. So I knew what he was talking about. I went to junior college in after high school in outside of Chicago called Harper High. We called it Harper High because it was sort of high school with ashtrays. But anyway, and I had an English teacher who was so good. Her 101 class was so good. I loved her. And I'm like, I want to take all of the classes that she takes. So I just signed up. Anything that she taught, I wanted to take. And she was a Shakespeare master, and she was getting her PhD in Shakespearean studies. And the way that she taught it, the way that we went through the stories, the plays that we saw, all of it, it taught me so much. And it also led to leap forward to 2013, 25, 30 years later. And everything like this story, like Alan's story, just wove together. as I worked with actually the Sovereign Magistral Order of the Temple of Solomon, the Templars, and this IGO court, and I didn't know anything about the Templars other than what I was taught in high school as well. Like, I'm like, you mean the Killing for Christ? Like, red? Yeah, those guys, Templars, huh? And at that point, I would say I awakened to gnosis that I had had before and understood about the Templars, about the grid keeping, about the esoteric studies, about what they actually did before and after. And while I was working on that, I also thought it was a cool story. I'm rebranding the Templars because I'm a brander and an artist. And when I was in the process of doing that and I was making the Facebook header, this will all come back around right away. The women are nonlinear. We'll go there. I'll take you on a ride. We'll get off.
Yeah. We're on the carousel right now. We're on,
That's right.
It'll all hook up.
So as I was making this background, I had the thought, and I saw, I'm a pattern recognition person, which is how Alan and I synced up. And I had the Templar cross and I was making a background, and I got a hit to do the Flower of Life, but the Metatron version, it's all kind of woven in, right? So I made it black and red in the background, and that it would trigger some of the family to come home. And this is what Shakespeare does too, right? This is what De Vere did. This is like hidden codes. They were like, I talk about it like, you talk about OG media warriors, they were. Okay. So I thought and saw and received from Spirit, put the Templar cross over the center of Flower of Life. Mathematically, it will fit. And so I did, and I shrunk it down, and sure enough, every curve, every line fit. So I fit it that way on the header. And as I began working more with Michael, he said, you've got to meet Alan Green. You've got to meet my friend Alan. You've got to meet him. And it probably took almost a year of us working together before we actually finally met. And I believe in like absolute divine timing. It was right. And because I see and connect dots in similar ways with the patterns, and certain things pop out to me as well. Finally, we sat down, Ellen and I, at a restaurant.
That was at Paru's Indian vegetarian restaurant in Hollywood. I remember it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely little place. And by that time, I think it was like 2015.
I think it was earlier than that, but
was it 2014?
I think so. Yeah.
I know it was after my mother, Mary, passed. And I was, after saying that I would never, ever, ever get a tattoo in my life, I felt to get one. It was 2014 because I opened my shop and studio in LA in the boutique district off of Ventura Boulevard, Robyn Davis being, and that's where I was doing a lot of this work. And I got the hit that I was to get a tattoo to commemorate a year of that and my mother's passing. And I'm trying to tune into what it was. It was one. I knew for one that it should be one. And I'll show and tell it.
Yeah, why don't you show us?
When I sat down with Alan, there we go. It's letterpress letters, and it says one. And there's an artichoke. And I had a thing with my mom that I loved artichokes. They're also from the thistle family, the Scottish rose of Scottish and German. And the gnosis that came with it was your people will recognize you from this. That your people, like people that are supposed to know, will know. And I didn't know how much was embedded in what I did. And you know, I talk about miracles and synchronicity, which is all of this entire story. I had a tattoo artist who I wanted to do it. He came in while I was gone. My assistant was there, and she said that he had stopped by. I was like really up against it. I had all my money in my business, and I was like, I couldn't really afford to do a tattoo, and do I really want to do it anyway? And then it was so clear to me what it was going to be, and then it was these letterpress letters. I started out in printing and letterpress, and I have a deep love for that and literature and all of that. So there's a lot wrapped up in it. But when I was also doing it, I will mention that I was guided to make certain periods of the font larger than the font. So when Alan and I sat down and he started telling the story, and he had the sonnets there, we probably were there for 3 hours. And he started going through it. It was just like one thing after the, I'm like.
And for those that don't know, I mean, the part of the whole thing is the sonnets title page has periods that are different sizes than they should be, because there's a large period by the letter G, and there's another slightly less large than that at the word imprinted. And I'm telling Robyn this, I'm saying, that's interesting, because I'm telling you the geometry, and you're recognizing that, oh, perhaps that's why I was told to make these periods in letterpress bigger or certain sizes. Yeah. Wow. So you're getting a hit on that.
Yeah. And it was like, back in that day, it was really a conscious choice, right? Because the letterpress is pieces of lead that you put into a row. So you have to really consciously do this in the setting, and you still have to consciously do it, even whether you're doing it in a graphics program, and then pull things together in certain ways. And I have since done a lot more of that, and we'll talk about it as the story goes. But I didn't even show the tattoo until he was kind of fully in the story. And then he's like, and it's one. It's one. And I'm just like,
yeah, and Michael's sitting there feeling so pleased with himself for having got us together. See, I knew you guys should be together. Because one of my absolute favorite Shakespeare quote is, "It's all one," right? I mean, in Twelfth Night, Sir Toby Belch is walking around, and says, "Oh, it's all one."
Yes, and so the tattoo artist came in, and he wanted to do a swap to do a trade for a tattoo for a portrait photography. So it was photography primarily.
Oh, cool.
I swore that I wouldn't go back to tech. I swore I wouldn't go back to marketing. I was a children's and family photographer, and then became branding photographer when I moved to LA and my children were a little older. And then everybody found out my dirty little secret, in that I knew how to do like a whole ecosystem and the websites and the tools, and all this stuff started coming back. And then when all of this, now I'm working in encryption and with Alan, and but that was some years ago. And so it was literally like, am I gonna get this or whatever, and the tattoo artist walks into my studio and wants to swap one.
Great.
Swap one. And then I told him, this is also a really good party trick, because the people are like, oh, do you have any more tattoos? I'm like, no, just this one.
Just this one.
Ta-da! And he got really pissed. Like, he was like, it's not a joke. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. It's my tattoo.
Yeah.
It's, absolutely. I've used it many, many times. But this is how we met. So like pattern recognition to pattern recognition. And we have since put some of these patterns together with other pattern recognition freaks. And what has unfolded has been, I mean, profound doesn't cut it for a word to that, I think. Yeah.
Because I mean, then I was fairly far along with already even the mathematical code. So by that time, I'd already been on the Shakespeare journey for 10 years, because we're talking six to 7 years ago now. But literally, I had no idea that it was going to go to this, because I mean, today we worked together, and we only met that one time. Remember? I mean, we met that once, and maybe one other time, I think. But it was just like, oh, we're supposed to know each other, and where's that ultimately going? And we don't find out where it was going until years later. You write to me or text me or something about this guy, Robert Grant, he's trying to contact you, and I think you should let him.
I put you in a messenger window.
Yeah.
And I was like, you two kids have to play. And when I met you, I will break in to say, when I met you and you told me the story and you told me what you were doing with it, and the Shakespeare books and all of this potential and how it could help revenue for education and all of these good things.
Mm.
And what I got was, this is much bigger than this. He doesn't know. And I'm like, okay, noted. And then I received another thing about Genesis. So we'll see what unfolds from there. But they're like, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Oh yeah, don't tell him. He's got enough on his plate.
Yeah, no, like he's going exactly down the rabbit hole that he needs to be going down for this grander plan, which is so grand.
Yeah, it's become grander, and now we've got a grand conjunction happening tonight, so we're going to talk about that a bit as well. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You never know. I mean, honestly, literally, when you're introduced to something like this, it's just that matter of taking. I think you have it on your video. You take that first step. You got to take the first step, even if you don't know where the staircase is going. Yes. Had somebody told me 17 years ago that I'd be still doing this, 16 to 17 years on, I might have had a bit of trepidation. I might have said, I don't know if I want to sign up for that.
Right?
I thought I was just going to write a musical about Shakespeare. And you know, the same thing. I mean, tell us one of those. What are one of the synchronicities that have happened to you on your journey where you go, well, I didn't know where that was going, and then all of a sudden it's like this whole huge thing. Oh, that's what they wanted me to do. But all they do is say,
like, you're on a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. They said it's an efficient technology. They're not going to waste our hard drive space with stuff we don't need to work on at that moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you're saying things like, well, Alan didn't know how deep this was going, and I had this little secret with the angels, and etc. I mean, to an extent, you're right. I did not know where it was going. I did know that it was huge and it was going off on its own other direction, but I didn't suspect the direction that you're talking about.
I didn't either.
And isn't that the fun of it? I mean, it's like it's just it's a treasure hunt almost every day. You find something more, and it's still going on, and it's the greatest privilege, greatest joy, great fun. Yes. Above all, fun. I mean, don't you find that with your guides, your angels? Are they having a blast or what?
A blast. You guys, half the trick of receiving guidance is to know that the guides is so playful. The angels are so playful. And I didn't even understand how playful they were. It was, I can tell the 7-Eleven story if you want. I told it to you.
Go for whatever you want. This is your show. Tell us. What's the 7-Eleven story?
Alan, and I'm so pleased to be on it because this is fun.
I mean, it's you've got the stage right now. The floor recognizes Ms. Davis. And
so I was at what's that?
And it's not like 2 minutes and no interruptions like the election debates. No, it's not that. It's just you can go for 2 hours if you want. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us the 7-Eleven story.
So when we were having all of this, what will happen with the team now that we've kind of clicked circuits together too, with Robert Underwood Grant and the work that we've done and the mathematicians that he has gathered and the research team, all of whom are opened up to this other level of consciousness, really all have been on this seeking path and finding path and knowledge path for a long time, and are geniuses. And I always tell this story too about genius, geni, it's spirit, us, geni, us. We speak with spirit, we are spirit, but every great genius has infused their own with spirit, and this is what it comes out, because we are, as I'm told, transducers, and a transducer takes digital to analog and analog to digital, and this is what this human form does that no other form can do. And the 7-Eleven story, why I was talking about the math team, is because we were getting in all of this stuff about 7-Eleven and their mirrored opposites in the grand scheme of things. And I am shown what I would call the feminine aspect of the mathematics, physics, and geometry in a way that are not necessarily numbers or geometry, but as an understanding of what that means and how it plays out in human relationships, in nature, in culture, like whatever. I'm shown metaphors, and I will get at the same time that Robert is dialing in things, I'm getting it in a different way. And like I said, with him, it's moving in stereo, right? Which isn't just two bands, right? And so it's been interesting, this whole journey as we were going along, and I was getting the 7-Eleven stuff. When I then realized, if you look back on your memory tapes, you're also getting information for that. Like Shakespeare, when you read Shakespeare as a kid and you're reading Romeo and Juliet, it's a different story than after you've had a relationship and you're an adult, and it'll be a different story further along also as you open up. But the 7-Eleven thing, I'm in my shop in studio, was probably 2015 or so. And a lot of people, after they called it the awakening, like the gates kind of got reset and opened on 2012. And I was receiving a lot of information, and it was kind of overwhelming. And I was just waking up a lot of spiritual gifts that were like knobs on the plane that I didn't really know how to fully work yet, right? And I was trying to edit a client job. I was in there by myself in the shop, and I had been receiving so much information. I receive a lot through music. I get a lot through music and numbers, and because they're codes, it's like binary code, right? And so I told the angels, I can't right now. Okay. I shut off all music. I closed all tabs. I'm just in my photo editing window, right? I'm like, I can't, no talking. I have to finish this job for my client. I'm going to lose the client, you know? And so I really, like, I hold up. I'm like, nobody call. I shut off the phone. I'm just going to do this. And then suddenly, and I kept getting 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven. I'm like, I know. I'll look it up later. And so I'm like, I have to do this. I am serious. SIRIUS, serious. And all of a sudden my shop darkens and I hear, and so I look up, and in front of my window, a huge 7-Eleven truck has pulled up on this side street and blocked out the sun. And 7-Eleven, that was it. And so I'm like, fine, I'll go look. And I went and looked, and like the angel numbers, there's angel numbers as some people follow. And there's a site that I go to that was pretty spot on. And basically it was, the message made me cry, because it was like, you're doing a good job. We just want to, you know, we've seen you on your spiritual path, and and you're doing a good job. And I was like, I just started weeping, because it was like, they were so, it was the first time that I really fully understood how playful they were and how loving. And I was just standing there crying with a 7-Eleven truck in front of my thing, all alone, going, you know, I just, you can't write this stuff. You can't think that this would happen.
That is so sweet.
And yes, and then the 7-Eleven has continued to unfold.
Because what they're saying with that is, you know, they're trying to get something to you, and you assume it's going to be a big thing, right? We're always, I mean, I'm always awakened in the middle. For me, it's a dream, and it's a recurring dream. And in the dream, I'm saying, yeah, I know. No, just let me sleep, because I haven't had much sleep. No, come get you. And it keeps on until you go, all right, I'll get up. All right, I'll check out what you're showing me. And it's always a rabbit hole. I find I run my bath, you know, and I put a cup of tea on. And 18 hours later, the bath is stone cold. I haven't got it, and I've worked out something on the computer that they were showing me in the dream. And you go, but so this story is so lovely, because they're insistent. No, 7-Eleven, and all it's saying is, it's not some magnificent, huge new thing that's going to rock the world. It's just personal for you. It's just saying, we love you. You're doing a great job. Keep going. I just wanted to give you a pat on the back.
However, because it is an efficient,
okay,
yes, because it is an efficient technology, it then put that memory and that visual. I have a very eidetic memory. I think anybody mostly with pattern recognition skills, we all do. We all have all of these inherent in our program. Some have different things turned on a little louder than others with their senses. according to whatever their superpower, superhero gift is. But for mine, it also came in really handy with the work that I did with the pattern recognition, because I could remember things. And then what I find is that my receiving is often like a media player. It either pulls up still pictures, clips of a moving image, a video of something that happened in a memory, or something I saw, or a movie I saw. It doesn't matter, but or a song lyric. It'll pull up on my media drive, and it will tell me what I need to do or see or know. And it's just constantly kind of like a media player. So then that being put on there, is nice and as fun as it was, has pulled up for me in front of my vision that truck, the numbers, and all of it at key times when I needed to know about it.
Wow. I want to ask people who are listening and watching to comment if you have, because it's always, I don't ever want the Bardcast to be about me telling a story or my guest telling a story and we're just like, you're just listening in on the chat. It's all of us, folks. I mean, there's no difference. It's all one. So for those of you who are going, yeah, oh God, yeah, I had that, send in a comment right now, and we'll, if we see it, we'll bring our attention to it, and maybe you want to write to us about it, because that's the most critical part about this. We knock ourselves out, right? I think I'm great. You think you're great. We all think we're great. We are. Why shouldn't we? I just want to make, I should comment, that connects to something I was going to comment on. You use that word genius. I'm very, very careful about that word, not in a precious way. When I used to be teaching my piano students a lot, and there was a time when I was teaching a lot of piano students, maybe 30, 35 a week, private, going from home to home to home in Beverly Hills, and all these kids, and I would tell them, don't use that word thinking it's something absolutely special. Oh, Picasso's a genius, Einstein's a genius, Salvador Dali was a genius, Mozart was a genius. We are all geniuses. You are. Let me show you, and you can do it as simple as this. Hit some notes, right? Just any notes, random notes. They'll hit 3 notes. I said, all right, now let's write a song. I can't write a song. Of course you can write a song. You just did. You started one out. Repeat those notes. Now let hear it. I like you, right? Or whatever it is. They want to add words to it. Pretty soon they're adding another line to it, another line to it, and they've written a little song about ice cream or something, And you go, do you realize in the whole history of this planet, no one has written that song? You just wrote it, and it's utterly unique to you. And that's actually not an exaggeration. It's absolute truth. That's genius. So be careful with that word. We are all geniuses. Let's not get blown up about it.
Thank
you. Everybody out there, tell us your genius story while we carry on rambling. Okay? Thank you.
And yes, thank you. And it's so true too, how I'm shown and understand the uniqueness of each of our programming, our individual one. When it says there's nobody like you, that's for real. There is nobody like you. There is nobody that holds the codes that you do to bring forth what you are supposed to bring forth, and they connect with certain others' codes to run a longer program. And this is why we literally cannot win the game unless we are all connecting to the motherboard.
Absolutely. It's
designed that way to make us work together. Mom's like, guess what, kids? You have to play nice together if you want to win the game. I don't care if that one gets on your nerves. Sit at the other end of the table.
Who wants a
but
treat?
You're all going to sit at the table.
Yeah, there's going to be tears. And let's stop that. The only thing is, tears over here means war. There's going to be it's going to be World War. Be nice. Nice. Boy. Tell them, because you glossed over it a little bit, just to bring us up to speed, because ultimately later in, we want to connect all these things, and I want to certainly talk about the big issue is what you're doing with the Mothership Alliance. But just so that people get the dovetailing of that, we had met through Michael Dunn. It was like, oh, boom, 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 yeah, connections. And then we still went our separate ways and did all this. And then all of a sudden you come out of the woodwork for me. I'm back in my cave and doing my thing. And you say, you and Robert Edward Grant got to get together. Robert called, and I won't go into that story because he told it a couple of weeks ago about, how he called me finally at your urging. But then we all end up working together. Isn't that amazing? I mean, we all work at Crown Sterling and Strathspey Crown. We're all doing
the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, and others. I mean, Robert has brought.
Yeah, but when we first came in, it was pretty
much you and me and him and one other person, I think, and it's grown in that time in 2 years to an enormous company of, I don't know how many are there now, 35 people or something. But that's one of Robert's talents. I mean, he really does. He has this ability to pull together, bring all these people together. And of course, because of his success in other areas, he's able to fund it, which is always nice. So it's just, but you look at it and you go, wow. I'm dealing with all these other geniuses. Bam, 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 shining. Everybody contributing something to this overall tapestry. We don't even know what it is yet, right? Do we? We've got these vague ideas. Oh, it's cryptography. Oh, it's geometry that's going to change the whole prediction of prime numbers. It's going to change the RSA coding in banking and commerce. You go, what? But it is. I mean, it truly, really is. But then it's beyond all of that too. And my aspect of it is the Shakespeare side, where I know that for sure that this is something that has to come forward. And I think the time is right now. Well, how do you suss on to the idea that the time is right now for your individual work coming to the fore? We'll get to it in depth, but just as a teaser, how do you know? How do you know the time is right? What clues do you get that this is something is coming now? It's really, we're on the cusp.
Well, fast forward from 2015 when I started awakening a lot of more gifts and didn't, as I mentioned, weren't sure how a lot of them work. Now I know how they work. And now it seems like the additional gifts that I get are more an amplification of the gifts I already have, right? So it's like, okay, we'll only receive when they say God only gives you as much as you can take. That is absolutely true. And I always relate everything to a technology. When I was with you in Egypt, we were just before the shutdown, we were all in Egypt with Resonance Science, and I was grateful to be invited as guest faculty. And
Wonder Woman, basically, was your term. Yeah, she was Wonder Woman, yes.
Which I just, wait for it, because this is funny. We'll just do it. What? My mouse pad. All of my Wonder Woman stuff comes from my Aunt Candy.
But she is, people, she is. I mean, you gave your presentation there. I mean, I had been working with you and known you, and we'd met at Robert's home for parties and things, and we met at the office and this, that, and that. But I'd never seen you give a presentation. You'd seen me give some. I'd never seen your story. And we're in Egypt with about 50 people on this resonance tour, and just as it's kicking off, before we even go to the Sphinx and the Giza Plateau and the other places, of course, we had a day in a hotel there. I forget what the hotel was. It doesn't matter, it's just a hotel. But we're there with all these people. And then you did an all-nighter, I know, pulling together your show.
Quaternion.
And you gave a presentation that, I don't know if you want to touch on some of that, but I remember just being floored. I mean, going, oh my God, I didn't know all this about you. No wonder. I know you're brilliant, but I didn't know what had gone into making you brilliant, what your journey was. And you spelled it all out for us. I don't know if you can show us without actually doing the presentation, but just highlights, I mean, You've talked about some of them. What else? What else is going?
Yeah, basically what I was doing was kind of an introduction and background of how I got to where I'm at. And I will begin just rewinding the tape a little bit with how I met Robert and how it came to immediately connecting to Alan Green. And what happened was I was on Facebook, and you know when a little pop-up comes on and so is live now if you follow them. And it was Matt Belair, who does a beautiful show and has incredible guests. And it just popped up, and I saw in the corner there was somebody was sharing screen. It didn't show who it was, and it was Robert's Templar cross pattern in the primes, which had been found before, but it was his work around that on the screen. I see it. It's like this big in the corner of my screen. And I'm like, he sees it. He's got it. And I immediately forwarded it and shared it to the Facebook page for the Temple of Solomon, which I then had, right? I immediately shared it there without even reading it, and I just put hashtag ahem. Ahem. And I forwarded it there, and immediately Robert friend requested me. And then so when I did, as you do, when somebody friend requests me, at least I did before I got banned off Facebook. That's another story. I looked at his page to see, like, who is this guy? What's it about? And the top post was just paragraphs about his work and something he was working out. And I got about 3 paragraphs in, and my mind says Alan Green. And all I did, I put a comment and I tagged Alan on it. That's it. I didn't say a comment. I took Alan Green. And then
explain that, because I don't do Facebook. I mean,
no, I know, and you didn't. So that's why I went.
What does that mean? You see something, you just do a hashtag Alan Green, and then they send
so I did a tag. I just put @ and then I just tagged your name so that it was live, so that you would say when you did go on Facebook, you've been tagged on a post, and then it would take you straight to that post. So it didn't, which is why I went and got you.
Never on, but
right. So I tagged it, and then Robert immediately hopped on. He must have been on, and he's like, Alan Green, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I use your work in some of my presentations. I followed you for a long time, And apparently he had been emailing you for some months, and you didn't get back to him because you were busy down your rabbit hole.
That's his story. I don't think he was emailing me. I don't think he does email. I do. He might have been texting or messaging me, and I wasn't on WhatsApp, so he couldn't do that. But probably
I don't think he didn't have your number at the time. But anyway,
probably it was texts. But certainly he was reaching out. It's just I was just saying for clarity, it wasn't email, because I'm that old-fashioned. And
I don't remember. It was a couple of years ago. But he said he had been trying to reach out, and he wanted to talk to you. And then, like, the next day or so, I just saw it to check it and see if you had responded, and you hadn't, because you don't do Facebook a lot. And then what I did was I opened a messenger window between you and Robert and me, and I said, you two have dots that connect. And it was basically like, mom's like, okay, kids, play, you have stuff to do. And then at that point, Robert and I began talking. He's like, are you a designer for the Templars? And I'm like, well, you could say that and a little more. And I started speaking about what I did and what I'm doing. And then he started showing me more of his work, and I'm showing him more of my work. And it was like, ding, 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 ding. And we took the conversation over to WhatsApp, and the conversation pretty much hasn't ended since 2018, the beginning of that. And before he went to the pyramids, when he discovered the Alpha and Omega, I would get in a picture or a sign or a symbol, and I would send it to him. He would be on a plane drawing it with no phone, no Wi-Fi, get off the plane, get my message. And he had drawn a picture that I had sent him, or a symbol or geometry.
Yeah, that's one of the aspects that's really interesting, isn't it? And he and I do that in a different way. We will call each other up, not call each other up at 4 a.m, but often he'll text me at 4 a.m, because he knows I'm the only other person that he's, maybe you, is up at 4, still working. And if I'm stupid enough to answer him, then he knows, oh, okay, channel's open, then he'll call me, and then we're on the phone for an hour. But it's always that we're both working on the same thing and haven't told each other. And
I'll say about
always, it's
yeah. And I'll say about that too, to anybody's listening out here, we're all getting it. It is a collective download, collective algorithms that are running or coming in, data coming in at the same time. It may present to Robert as math and geometry, or a different aspect of it for Alan, and a different aspect of it for me, or for somebody who is a chef. And they're mixing, like, it just is according to our, I call it the Akashic slice of the pie for whatever we're serving up right now. It is not unique that we are these crazy, unique receivers that other people don't get this, because we do. A lot of people don't realize they're getting it, and they don't even need to. It's just playing anyway. And some of us now that, like I said, we have different codes and we are brought together magnetically, just like the universe works. If we're in flow and we go with it, that synchronicity is a lot of magnetics.
Yeah.
Because,
absolutely.
right, we're open to that signal. So we magnetically attracted ourselves to one another because we had pieces that stuck together. If we didn't, we wouldn't stick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where was I talking about Egypt and what I was, the tech of tuning in. So some of what
that was it. That was the title of your talk, wasn't it? The Tech of Tuning In. I thought it was a great title. Yeah.
And this is some of what I'm teaching, sort of as I'm showing on the mothership with the people who are with me now. I was guided. I kept being told, right. This time to teach. It's time to, like, did you think that you learned all this stuff, you know, to sit on it or just for you? No. At some point when we, you know, develop our mastery, wherever we're at, we get taught and we teach. And if we don't, we clog up the program. Yeah. So I was so grateful. It was so perfect for Robert invited me to teach some of that. And it's like, it's like when you have a party and you got to put all the pictures up on the walls and take care of the things that you didn't, it forced me to put it in order, and it has since unfolded. Right. And it all got taken out of order right before the presentation. I had a whole thing done, and Alan has had this experience as well, where once I was tuned into the people on the trip and things were unfolding on the trip, the synchronicities and the symbols and everything that came in while we were there, just the first few days, and all of the things that I had received that wanted to be in the presentation. So it was relevant. Like, it was literally teaching itself. All I had to do was, like, take the pictures and everything and go, see. And one of the things that came through on it was the legend, the what was it that I was getting? The what's the decryption machine? The
Enigma.
The Enigma.
Yeah.
Enigma kept coming through. Okay.
Enigma machine at World War II.
The Enigma machine. Okay. Enigma kept coming
Alan
through.
Turing, correct. Yeah. Great movie, by the way. See Benedict Cumberbatch in the what's it game? Something game.
So this is still playing out. So it's relevant then, and it's relevant now, because as I was speaking about, when you say we're legend, we're legendary. And that's the song I opened up with. And I actually closed up a ceremony, and I spoke this to my group on Friday. We all hold codes like a legend. It's like the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphs are not just a communication storytelling language. Yes, in one sense they are, just like Shakespeare is a story, but within it is a legend for an encryption to unlock locks. And so these strings, and I was even shown that it's binary code, some of the, like the dots and the lines, it's code. It's not just a language, it's code. And those who, and I had that confirmed in Egypt by an Egyptologist that knows some of the deeper levels that he doesn't speak about on the tours with just the regular tourists. They talk about that, but there's a deeper level of this encryption and this legend. But we are legend, and coming together. This is why the powers that be, who perhaps would like it to be that we are not all together and connected and powerful and knowing our own power, would like to keep us separate and fighting. Because if we don't connect those codes and those legends and those decryptions for the encryptions, then, you know, we can do kind of whatever we want and whatever we need.
It's that old thing: divided we fall, united we stand. Divided we fall. If we're all, you know, not seeing the overall cohesive pattern, we're not powerful. We're not strong as we are individually strong, sure, but it takes a village. It takes a village. It takes an entire community. It takes a planet now, because we got to do stuff that's on a much deeper level, saving the planet. I want to pause for a moment on our exchanges here and show you one example of that, which is about the sonnet for being today. You know, I find that as I invite my guests, each guest has, you know, they get slotted into, oh, you're on that date. Then I look at the sonnet and I realize, oh my goodness, you know, how crazy is that there's a connection. So going to the sonnet now. So why are we dealing with Sonnet 46? It's there are these other connections. Now, I'm not going to read the whole sonnet. It just starts out. It's about literally how the eye perceives and the heart perceives. We all know that, you know, that on one level, what we see, that's it, we're getting data, but our heart, our feeling tells us something much deeper about somebody or about our circumstance. So here, I started to investigate the King James Bible because there is a kind of an ongoing question about, well, was Shakespeare possibly involved in the King James Bible? Because the Psalms are in the King James Bible, and this particular Psalm, Psalm 46, right? Remember, today is Sonnet 46. It's been known for some time, and a big query, why is it that the 46th word from the beginning is shake, and the 46th word from the end is spear? So people have kind of, conspiracy theorists get together. Oh, is that saying Shakespeare wrote the Bible? What's going on there? There are these words, 3 words, Selah, which nobody knows exactly even what that means, but its basic function is it's a pause. So it's actually not a part of the psalm itself. It's a pause for prayer. So you don't count those words, but that's just to let you know why we don't count that as the last word. If you go from the very beginning of the psalm to the very end, the last word, refuge, it's 201 words. Well, that's the sonnets and the lover's complaint. In the book of the sonnets, there's 154 sonnets, then there's a poem tacked on at the end that's 47 stanzas. That gives you 201 altogether. And those are odd numbers, strange numbers as to why would that 47 be tacked on at the end. But there are 201 courses in the Great Pyramid. And then you realize, oh, he's building the sonnets into a pyramid structure. So that's significant. So I started to think, well, oh, that's interesting. Psalm 46 is telling us that as well. It's talking about that connection to the Great Pyramid. So maybe there's more in this. But the overall question is, you know, why the number 46? Well, is there something special about that? King James enlisted 46 priests and clerics to accomplish this huge task of translating the Hebrew and Greek versions of the Bible into English. But there's something else. The Catholic Old Testament consists of 46 books. Exactly. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There's 39 of those books are in the Protestant Bible. They don't have 46. Why don't they? Because there's another 7 books that they don't include. But that's the Apocrypha. 7 books called the Apocrypha that they leave out of their Bibles because they contain all the juicy bits that the conspiracy theorists love to contemplate. And so, though the King James Bible was supposedly a new updated version for Protestant England, nevertheless it made a point, or whoever did it, made a point of including all 46 books, and then giving you this hint in Sonnet, in Psalm 46, and there's a hint in Sonnet 46 too. And then there's other aspects. Lent is a period of 46 days leading up to Easter Sunday and the resurrection of Christ from the dead. It's observed by devout Catholics by fasting and intensified prayer and personal sacrifices. The Feast of Easter is by far the most significant day in the liturgical calendar, and thus the importance of the 46 days of preparation cannot be overstated. It's incredibly important. So what's going on here? Why 46, 46, 46? Yeah, is it the angels going 7-11, 7-11, 7-11? In the first Bardcast masterclass of the new year, so mark this in your calendars, I'm going to unveil a newly discovered code that proves, and that's a strong word, I know, proves the secret Rosicrucian masters behind the Shakespeare mystery, and I'm talking Bacon, De Vere, John Dee, and others, that they were the chief architects of what some consider to be the most influential book in history, the King James Bible. So Psalm 46 is one of those Rosetta Stones. It proves it. There's a code within it. And I'm going to take you deeper into it in the new year, because I'm thoroughly down in that rabbit hole right now. And believe me, it's just mind-boggling, stunning. So anyway, that's just a teaser, just to whet your appetite for what's coming in the new year. I just wanted to go into that. So Robyn, we're all anxious to learn about what you're doing with the Mothership. Isn't it interesting, by the way, that the Beatles actually sang that? You know, the Mothership Knows. I know, that's another synchronicity. Amazing. They were tuned in back then to what you were going to be doing. I love it. So, but before I hear your comments about it, I want to just play a video, another video that you've put together. It's a pretty cool thing. Let's play that. How do you get your inspiration to do that? Do you go hunting around on, oh, I want to include this, I want to include that? What's the process?
I will share that I am not as adept at editing as you are in an editing program. I actually use, it's a pro tool, but it is an online tool called Animoto. And I have used Premiere before, but I decided not to. I started using it with my photography clients some years ago, because I would just do a beautiful little music enhanced slideshow or slide in videos with their photo shoot materials as part of the product that I delivered. And when I started doing this stuff for the court and the Templars and that sort of thing, it's not just the tool, but how you edit, right? The timing, and you know this, you are truly a genius at this. But I am very, very careful of not trying to like spread, try to spread my knowledge. Like I'm a really good photographer. I'm a really good designer and writer and communicator, but I didn't want to go down having like that whole tool. And I actually like doing the videos within the constraints of that program because it's like too many choices. I'd be like, never get it done and whatever. And it's a very easy to drag and drop. And I'm so visual in that way. And then I can just choose the music and the P-Volt video. It came together like, I mean, I couldn't even imagine. And I had assembled pieces for it from all the work I had done for a couple of years. And then it came together in one day. The song came, I got a hit to get the song. And so tuning into the universal radio station is super efficient. I wish that I had learned how to do that. I used to sit and try to make designs come or make writing come and whatever. And what I now understand in the tech of tuning in is that I simply need to enter the query to the big computer for what I want to do or what I want to know, preferably one question at a time is what happens. It's like God Google, Gadoogle. And then it just comes. I'm like, all of a sudden the song comes up, the picture comes up that I'm supposed to use or whatever. And so while this whole Mothership Alliance piece right now that's unfolding, and I'll back it up and say how it kind of came in right after Egypt, after we got back, and how there's a couple on here. I have the Facebook pulled up and muted in the back, and some of my Mothershippers are on, and they came to me because of that Egypt broadcast. They were following as viewers, paid viewers, as we broadcast live from Egypt for resident science.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that we were broadcasting while we were there. For the many that couldn't.
Pamela Lee Richards. I just want to say hello, you guys.
Oh, Pamela, hi.
So they were watching, and when I did my wackadoo, like the guys were doing all their math and is very dynamic and all of the geometry, and what I did was very different, and even I didn't expect what came through, but it was tailored, as I'm made to understand it, to trigger and open codes and show things particular to the audience that I was presenting to. And I know you've had that experience as well, Alan. So that said, Christina Teo, who's become one of my main generals in the Mothershipper Light Army we got going on here, she got the hit to come down. We said we were going to Giza. We were going to the Osiris Shaft. We were going to the plateau after the presentations. Spirit told her, go down there, go down there. And so as we pulled up, we're rolling up, and with the group, Christina came, and she's like, I was watching you, and I felt she was in Egypt. She does Egypt tours before the shutdown of her own, and she came up to you and I in particular, and we hugged. And had I known then what I know now, it's just I don't doubt the mystery. So when I after Egypt, this whole piece, the video from P-Volt, which was the original sort of downloads I received, I call them downloads. When I was working on the court, I was frustrated at the tools and the limitations of the tools, what we needed to put out, what we were putting out, to have people receive what we were in a way, and also to raise funds or whatever. And it was all of these disparate tools and things and channels. And I'm like, oh, I know what can be done. I was a director of innovation for a social media company in 2000, before Facebook. And we served Microsoft, Ace Hardware, like all these different companies. We did the gaming community. We did live influencer live with groups and people all before the Facebook platform. We did it on different platforms, and we were building a proprietary platform for that. So I knew, and then I was made director of innovation from being a business manager, because they saw that I knew how to like, not only like, okay, there's a chat tool, there's a this tool, there's a that tool, but I put them together in a way like cogs in a Rube Goldberg machine is what I call my plan. And it's kind of what I do. Or I may use a tool in a way, a chat tool in a way that is not necessarily in the traditional way that you use it, in sort of like rename it, but it still use the functionality. So I'm a good MacGyver, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I saw and what I wanted was not available. And I knew that it was possible with technology that we have right now.
Yeah.
And so I started getting all this. And then as soon as, you put in the query and you want this and you know this, then I started getting so much information. And it was so rapid fire that it was, as I said before, a little overwhelming, but I was guided to write by hand. I have a whole big box. It was in storage for a few years in LA while a whole bunch of stuff was going down in my life and initiations to get me to another level. But that all of these pieces, I didn't even realize that I was sewing the pieces to the quilt is kind of the metaphor that Spirit uses for me. Like we all have been sewing our pieces to the quilt, and right now it's weaving them together. And so I had this P-Volt vision and I tried to get it off of the ground, and I had a bunch of groups who were interested in doing it. It's a network of networks, a group of groups, and to bring together all of the things that people were doing and give a platform and tools and ability to promote in a way that we never, we couldn't on our own as individuals. I received the gnosis that light workers would be called to broadcast their signal at this time, that they would be, we're entering into the new golden age and we are creating, and now you're seeing it, right? I knew when they hit live on Facebook that it was going to change the game. And people are doing their shows, they're doing their readings, they're doing light language and hand stuff. I mean, it's what has unfolded since is just amazing. But what we needed, go ahead.
No, I just wanted clarity on what you just said there. So all these things are happening on describe how people enter it and what it is. So this is all happening on the website, right? So, mothershipalliance.org, and you go there, and what are the choices? Can you take us through the menus and say sort of what the overall smorgasbord of choices are, and is there something for everybody? Is it mostly aimed at, I see a lot of, obviously it's all very much your mission is about feminine energy and bringing in grandmothers and mothers and sisters and all of that, but are men not welcome is what I'm asking.
Oh, of course they are, and you're a Blue Rose Knight. We're talking to a Blue Rose Knight. So
I'm a Blue Rose Knight. Yes, I joined that. That's the one where I thought there was a connection. So tell people about it. Give them some taste. Get them.
So I'm going to give you a little context. Is where I was going to with the people and how it started and how it ended up coming forth first through the women, which is what I was guided to. So got all this stuff, and it was very big. It was like really deep, very detailed blueprints and battle plans is kind of how it came. Right, Archangel Michael, he's the strategist. He's the lays it out, and so then I went through all this stuff, and I was thinking, well, maybe I just brought in like the codes for it. Maybe I just, because sometimes you do bring things through, and then you see them come to fruition in the world. And I was starting to see some of it come through. And I was also speaking to guidance like, this is like, I can't do all this. This is like crazy. It's amazing. And they're like, you don't have to do it. It's all being done. Everyone is building their pieces. All you're doing is like weaving in the way that you see puzzles connect, right? And what you know with the technology and with communication and with branding. And I was guided to light up the light workers, right? Whether that's branding, whether that's tools provided to them so that they make a stage, right? And 3 years ago, I'll back it up to say that when I was here, I ended up in Walla Walla, Washington from LA, unplanned, unpredicted, as many things that we know, the land of many waters, is that I then received, I was talking with another woman, and we were both kind of getting the same memo, I call it, to create a space for the feminine to gather, and that there were councils to be had and brought forth. And the word Mothership Alliance came through to me, and I bought the URL, and that was about 3 years ago. Set it aside. I say tag it and bag it. Sometimes I know whether or not it's for now, whether or not it's for later. It was a tag it and bag it. Okay, bought it, done. And I was still going through a lot of stuff of my family, my children, and so I let it be. Let it be, let it be. Speaking of let it be, this is where Mother Mary came to me. At a time,
Talk about a
in
segue.
a time of trouble.
All
In a
right.
time of trouble, literally in the bathtub. I was in the shower, standing in the bathtub, and it was when some pretty gnarly things were going on in my family with one of my children, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to have to close the shop. It was the end of my lease. I couldn't go looking for a house because I had a child who was not well that I was taking care of and just out of the hospital. And I let it be. I was crying in the shower, and Mother Mary appeared to me during a mother initiation. And since then, before that, I would say that it was more of a father aspect of God or angels that I spoke to. And since then, she came in and has spoken very clearly to me. And so go through some stuff for a few more years. I'm back in Walla Walla. Crazy stuff happens. 2 years of working with you and Robert Edward Grant and Encryption and all these other people who are all part of the family. And when I got back from Egypt, it was 4/4 on April 1st, April Fool's Day. I was getting to do something for 4/4, as many did. Unify held, everybody gets the memo, right? We all just tune it in, and the whole world was like tuning in and plugging in and holding ceremony and being guided to do this on 4/4. And we did it. I was guided to fire up the Mothership Alliance. Now it's now time. So you were asking, how do you know when? How do you know timing?
Yeah.
And it's been my experience, and this was part of the training and part of the initiations, that when I don't listen and I get guidance, like, go do this now. Mother's very nice. They're like, they'll let you, it's free will. You can do whatever you like. Right. And then I'm going to go do my will. And I'm going to go do what I think is, instead of what I'm tuning in, which is straight juice. And then I fall, and Mother's like, it's okay, get up, pat you on the butt, keep walking. And so I really, really learned, and I really, really learned to listen. And it's so much easier. I don't know why I even resisted before. And because I get, right, everything I need. So we open it up with Grandma Live. The grandmothers were supposed to bring it in.
Okay.
We did an event called Grandma Live and assembled some grandmothers that came organically. It was very quick. Samara Shaw was gathering something. She's like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm like, you know what? The Mothership is supposed to help bring it in. So we took it on to do it as an event. And she brought in some people, including a woman named Sherry Raji Maynard, who has been kind of our Grammyarch. Is that what you call it?
That's good enough word, the Grammyarch.
I like it.
Yeah.
I just made that up. So our Grammyarch, Sharon Raji Maynard, who when I met her and spoke with her before it was clear that we had very connected. She's done Galactic. She's 80 years old. She's a mother of 9. And and then we had Simrit singing on there, which was incredible. It was an incredible feat for her to do it technically. And her guy came on, and we had stories and singing, and it was really profound. I set up a Facebook group, yada, yada, yada. Didn't really promote a ton. And then we just sort of organically invited people into that private group, and it took on a life of its own. We gave a container for Mother, and she became a unit, just like God is a unified consciousness and intelligence, that we are together. Mother was given a container, and she came through like, woof. And so it was literally that month, it just started having a life of her own. and all the people who felt it and heard the call came.
Did you
Our
say a
group is
leg
over
of her own?
a leg of her own.
That's
Isn't that interesting?
clever.
A life of her own, but that's interesting. That keeps coming through. So tag it and bag it.
Oh, I thought
Hashtag
I
noted.
thought you were doing a deliberate pun on A League of Her Own. Great movie.
No, and this is one of the things, follow along, kids, because this is one of the things I teach about the tech of tuning in, and I did it in Egypt, is I call it Spirit Siri. Spirit Siri, pay attention to those autocorrects. Pay attention to like things that you misspeak.
Yeah.
Did you really? Or are you being given a clue in the game?
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
Right?
All the time. Perfection.
So I had to go to Robert. You know, we're in the beginning of like launching some of the other things, and COVID started and everything was really weird. And I said, I started this thing and Spirit wants it to happen. And it's in the middle of COVID and I have a job with full benefits. And after going through a whole lot of stuff, traveling around the world, doing this work with you all. And I was like, I have to do this. I have to leave and do this. And I will help you and continue with you, but I have to do this mostly. And he was very awesome and gracious, and he understands because he's been called to do what he's called to do. And so I was able to stay on in a consulting capacity to help bring this baby home and land this plane and with the team. But I left the security blanket of that with sort of no backup plan. And Robert always talks about burning the ships.
Yeah.
Burning the ships. What is that?
Alexander.
What's that?
Alexander.
Is it Alexander? It was the, I'm trying to think of the Spanish.
It's the great general that burns all his ships and says to his sailors, you know, well, there's no way back now. We've burnt the ships. Isn't that
that's what I heard, burn the ships. I'm like, in the middle of COVID, but I'm like, are you kidding me? Like right now?
Yeah, it gives you no choices, you know. Burn bridges, some
right.
people say, but it's that same thing. If you just make it that there's no plan B, then you've got to do plan A, and that's it.
Exactly. So I'm going to get to that, what the mothership is and what it is for people. So I was guided that these blueprints and battle plans and infrastructure and architecture were to be brought through the women. It's women rising, but I always correct it, and many others do too. We have risen.
Yeah. We
have risen. And now it's time to do what we came here to do, and to like really come out of the closet with our gifts, with our powers, with our understanding, and also an understanding that feminine power and is not in the sort of misleading, what I believe is misled feminism of say the 60s and 70s, where it was, we can be equal, we can do what you can do kind of thing in some ways, where it is celebrating the power of our softness, of our grace, of our intuitive gifts, of the spaces in between that you cannot measure, no matter how fine your geometry tools are or your calculator is. Cannot measure.
Yeah.
Right. And also that mother wants to clean the house and she wants her children to gather to do this now. And that it has to be like the Templars have a temple that I was blessed to visit in Tomar in Portugal when I went for a tech show there last year. And there's the Magdalene statue that hangs there, and she's praying. And the guide said, look underneath her hands. And when you looked underneath her hands, it was a keyhole. And the Templars understood. And in this temple that I went in Tomar, where all these other castles and all this other stuff was so dense, it was very dense energetically for me. And then when I went in there, it was like, oh my gosh, this is supposedly where the Grail is hidden. It's rumored to be hidden in the floors of this church in Tomar. And I believe it is, because things started happening to me that I cannot explain. And it was a temple to the feminine. It was a temple to Mother and the Magdalene. And when you go in, it's not like Jesus on a bloody cross, you know, in the front, it's a pentagram with Mother and the child here. At the very front, off to the side, is Jesus, and then Magdalene in little inset with the keys in the hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, incredible. And I'm like, things were happening to me, and I'm like, where are we? What's happening here? And I was in front of this Mother Mary with all the Portuguese tile, and I was just like electric head to toe. I was like, what is here? What is in this church? What is going on? And then I turned, and the tour had gone off between the pews and the guide, and I was standing there sort of like paralyzed by Mom. And so I went and ran and caught up with them, and he was explaining there was a Grail tile symbol on one of the tiles and then a Templar cross on one of the other ones, and he was speaking about this cathedral and that it was believed that the Grail was there. I got that it's a device, and that it has energetic significance as an energetic device.
So it's not just a sippy cup?
Huh. Not a sippy cup.
Okay.
And when I sent it
to people,
the Grand Master of the Templar Order in Luxor, he said, Robyn, look at this. It is, the picture of the Grail is the same as the symbol, like the cup. It almost looks like a cup on the top of, I forget which goddess, Sekhmet? Is it Sekhmet? I don't remember. I don't need to. But he's like, it's the same. It's the same. He showed me him side to side, and it was the same.
Wow.
So interesting. And then, so the key is through the feminine. And so it was to be gestated and birthed through the feminine with our knights backing us up. And then what happens?
Nothing like a good man behind the woman. He's the man behind the woman. I know, I'm just making that old misogynist joke in reverse. We're beside each other.
Yes, exactly.
But I can't help. I just can't resist it, Robyn. You know me. If I see an opening to do a corny joke, I will do it. It's as simple as that.
I appreciate that in you more than you even know. So what I'm being shown now, right, is that we gestate and birth. Father provides the house and the stability for us to decorate, make it pretty, and gather the family and make the food. And then what's happening now, as I'm being shown in this conjunction, as we are coming together, we're in this birthing canal of the new world, of the new energetic, and just in time for Christmas, right? Christos coming up, and the masculine is being born. And then when we're going into battle, because we're going to be going into battle a little bit, y'all, a little bit of rough waters ahead, which is why we call the mothership the Ark. That in the Templars, the feminine initiates the the knight. You see the woman with the sword, right?
Yes.
And then, you know, when just like Mom takes care of some serious family business all the time, super powerful, but it's wait till your father gets home. Right? Wait, and now so Dad's coming home, and then Mom stands back. Get her done. I got the home, I got the family, I got the food. You go fight the battle. We're behind you. And
now,
what's coming?
This is very interesting. Do you find that you are? I mean, honestly, I'm playing devil's avocado here. You almost sound like, you know, this is going back to the 50s. You know, there's mother in the home and doing the cooking and taking care of everything. And do you find there's a backlash of resistance, or are you finding women saying, yeah, I agree with that? That's, I mean, because we've gone through that whole thing that you mentioned about feminism and let's burn our bras and let's, you know, Gloria Steinem them and let's be, you know, out there earning as much as the men and being like men. And I mean, it's such a trap, isn't it? Anyway, because we've all been gazillion women and a gazillion men, and the soul is sexless and ageless, so it's all rubbish anyway, ultimately. And yet we incarnate. Well, do you think you've only been mostly woman?
Oh no, I've been a dude a lot of times.
No, I
That
mean,
won't surprise a
well,
lot of
what I
people.
mean by that is the soul is the soul. It's. I mean, Shakespeare says it perfectly all these codes. It's got to be right brain, left brain. It's got to be science and art. It's got to be both put together. One without the other is utterly imbalanced. But people get polarized, don't they, into, oh, don't put me in the kitchen, don't put me, or a man, don't, why do I have to be the breadwinner? I'd rather stay at home baking bread. I mean, what are these roles that we get so bent out of shape about? Why don't we just all chill and be comfortable doing what we're doing?
That.
Yeah. So I'm just asking whether, in general,
that's a good question. You ready?
Whether you get any backlash, or how's it? And particularly as you start to address it, I want to know how do you appeal to young women? Because you've got the grandmas in, the Grammyarchy.
And we got the crones.
And the crones. And the witches.
Redefining crone. We're taking that back, too.
Okay. So are you appealing to young women and even young girls as well? And just lay it on us. Answer all that, if you would. And then...
I got to take a sippy cup for this one.
Okay.
Okay, so that is an excellent, excellent question. And this is the way I'm made to understand it. And the women that are with me do also understand it. And it is not in any way, shape, or form cooking in the kitchen while he goes out and does that stuff. But please do, men, change the light bulb and take out the garbage.
Please do. We can keep doing that, can we?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yeah. Because we do a lot of other really messy work.
That's why I'm in the dark here.
And when I say cooking, sometimes we're cooking magic, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And
sure.
And here's the thing about
bubble.
that. One, we do absolutely appeal to younger women, and the women who are coming understand this dynamic, and it is not in any way, shape, or form whatsoever a second place power. What was coming through when you were speaking was actually there's a piece of art in Egypt that we saw when we were at the papyrus place, and it is also throughout. Many of you have seen it. It's called The Last Judgment. The Last Judgment. Okay. And the king, a man, the story is like, if a man has led a good life, then he can sit in the king throne, in the good throne, and you'll notice that there are goddesses there. And what I was shown too is like they're whispering the secrets. They're given the information. They've got the codes and what's going on, and there's an energetic protection. Also, like in Egyptian, there's the cat, which is typically like female. The cat protects against things unseen.
Sure. Right?
So we protect the home and the family with things unseen and energetically, and our nose knows when there's trouble coming. Our sense of smell, especially when we're pregnant, we can smell meat that is not good, and we're for that. The men are like the dogs. They protect with things on the ground, the home, the things that are coming. So together it is like this unified protective field with the masculine and the feminine, which is available within each of us in balance, because when you're in perfect balance, right, the math says that's 0 point, and that's where all the power comes from. And this is actually the root of how we will achieve our free energy palooza, which is coming. And in the Last Judgment, it is only those. Mother will hold the purse strings. Mother will hold the secrets and the energy. And unless you're being a good kid and you're helping with the house and you're being good with the others, you will not receive your allowance, and you will not receive the magic that Mother brings you and gives you. So it is an absolute seat of unbelievable power. There are places in Egypt where they understand this, and this will happen in the future if you watch with roles with women in corporations. It's already happening too, where they know that, like as one of my friends said, who's very gifted, she says, I can't always show my work, right? So we can't be measured oftentimes by the traditional sheet in the HR department about what we put out. But there are places in Egypt, like that they are doing incredible technology, which is ancient galactic technology. And they also understand the power of the priestess, who may just be in the room vibrating. Okay. You can't buy it. You can't, like, and the value of that, or speaking or singing, like healing the waters with her voice. Our powers are just so profound. And the young women who are coming and who are a part of the mothership, they're actually easier a lot of times too, because a lot of them come in understanding this and knowing this. And we have an equal reverence for mother as we do for father.
Yeah, great.
And what I'm shown is that we are to gestate and birth it. I was also guided this year to purchase the Night Alliance. Then it'll be like, I'm shown like Catholic school, right? Where you got the boys' campus and the girls' campus, and then they come together for a dance. I also have One Love.network. Together, we will create that, and that will be the ultimate platform and media central. What we're doing is creating and incubating and supporting these creators. And also in the video, as you saw, one of the elements is magic. One of the things that I didn't realize is you have on your journey would be such a profound part of this is the magic, because we do work with spirit and we do ceremony and ritual that is very powerful, that we have been burned for, killed for, taken out for in the past. And now many are remembering, many have these. We have an understanding of how powerful it is and how important it is to stay sacred and serving divine. It is not black magic. There are a lot of people that will freak out about that. And I just can't, I'm being guided to mask off about that now in this time of mass, to mask off about that now, because it is needed and necessary. And the important work that we do, we call it a womb temple, the VIP womb. We create that space. And also sometimes it is just holding space as a container for mother and what wants to come through.
Yeah.
So I bet the best way is probably maybe to show the site and what we're doing now. All of this is unfolded. I mean, I can't even believe how fast some of it's unfolded. We had founding members in June. And right now, by the way, it is free. I was guided. I'm being deprogrammed. I told my people that I am being deprogrammed from many of the traditional marketing tools and methodologies and strategies that I have done in the past. And this is like, Mom, she's like, nope, give it away. I'm like, oh, I got to push it out here. No, word of mouth. I'm like, okay. You know, and I had, okay, well, maybe we'll just have this special stuff over here, and that's only for these members. She's like, nope. So the only thing is, like, our members who get a diamond upgrade, who are diamond members or founding members, are able to participate as vendors in the market or creators in the media that we're creating. And a lot of what we're doing is just trying things out. They want us to try. And what I'm doing and what I'm guided to do is to format everything from the councils to the way things work in the mathematics, in the physics, in a toroidal flow, in a ecosystem, an ecosystem that works this way, with tithing, with what we do all the way around, and investment within, and taking care of our people. We're supposed to, my guidance is to demonstrate it. And that is magic. This is when we bring spirit into matter. That is magic. Like, we've got these codes, we've got the math, we've got the drawings, we've got the physics, we've got the understanding. Now let's employ this into a system and see how it works. Kick the tires. That doesn't work. Turn the knobs a little bit. So that's a lot of what we were doing. We're building this template that we know that you guys have been working on so amazingly. The men have been figuring out the exact math, geometry, and physics of this toroidal system, of the pattern, of the core template, so that when that is like fully locked in completely, those algorithms can be used for these new products, for systems in delivering media content, in helping with energy, helping with the water, all of these things. It's so simple. What I get told is we make it complicated. We've overcomplicated this. And Alan knows this so much, and Robert knows this so much, and why you are creating these new educational tools to model what they're doing. I'm doing it with media. And then the other is training up, branding up a media army to roll out, to help create waves of healing, of understanding, of whatever needs to come through divine, through the media, little pieces, little dancing, whatever, and the codes within them, just as Shakespeare did. Like I said, OG media warrior. Some things are in there. There's geometry in the things we produce. There's sound, there's color, and they are all with specific intentions. And some of it we don't even realize we did until later, because we just made some dancing video and it comes through,
Sure.
right?
And then you realize, oh, if it's there, and that comes in. That happens all the time too.
But we're doing the 10 days of light.
So I want to get back to it in a little bit. I've got to do a tiny bit of, not a detour at all, but I want to connect it to what we're right on the cusp of, because this is all about the timing, isn't it? What I was asking earlier, how do you know if the time is right? Let me just go a little bit into what's happening with this grand conjunction, because it's literally happening right now. It's in the sky right now, folks. And I want to show you something about how it's literally, well, it's in the stars. Have you heard? It's in the stars. I'm going to show you how this connects to what you already know of the Shakespeare story, of the codes that are the ones we know about. Shakespeare's baptism date, 426, De Vere's death date, 624, all of this. I mean, Robyn's years of preparation are coming to fruition, right? In this beautiful manifestation of this long overdue return of the feminine energy, and we're beginning to see it everywhere, like she said. I think it's being marked right now as we speak with a very prophetic astronomical event. So tomorrow night, literally, closest great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 397 years. The two planets will appear to be almost touching in the sky. That means the last time this happened was in 1623. Now we're on the cusp tonight of December 20th, December 21, 20 and 21. And what more perfect way to usher out the year 2020, which, well, was certainly a year of huge upheavals, right, worldwide. And we're not through it all by any means yet, as Robyn just hinted. There's some tougher waters ahead. But 2021 is going to see massive change. And I want to take you through a moment when this was happening back in Shakespeare's time. There was this, it's hard for us to wrap our heads around it. Now, at this distance, it seems so strange a thought that all the people on the planet, at least that we know of in Europe anyway, we weren't aware of the other races necessarily, they were all expecting the apocalypse coming. You see, what we don't know, this conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter actually happens every 20 years. But there are these times when it's pinpointing, getting closer and closer and closer. This great conjunction or grand conjunction happens about every 400 years, that they are as close as they're going to be tomorrow night, or tonight and tomorrow night. Now, here's John D. Some graphics that I did trying to show what was happening back then. Now, he was interested in a particular one before 1623. There was a grand conjunction happening in 1583. And what he actually was trying to do was, all the preachers in the churches were saying that the end is nigh, the end is nigh, prepare ye the end of the world. They all thought that Christ was coming again, that it was going to be the apocalypse. So they were honestly expecting this. The only person who wasn't, the only one who didn't have his knickers in a twist, put it that way, was John Dee. He knew that this was not the end, but a new beginning. A new beginning of ushering in a new age, and possibly some new beings who were avatar-like beings. I think that's what he was really saying, was welcoming in Bacon and De Vere and the others who were to bring this massive, huge work to us all. So here's D, Saturn, Jupiter, 426624. How did all this actually come about? What we're going to be seeing is this conjunction that the two largest planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are going to be so close as they appear in the sky as to be almost touching. Now, the zodiacal sign for Jupiter is this, and it actually looks somewhat like a number 24. You see there, it's like a 2. If we squeeze this in a bit, it's a 4. It's very clear. You can see it's a symbol of 24. Now, the complementary symbol for Saturn here is, as you can see, almost identical, but mirror imaged and turned through 90 degrees. It's also a TH, if you look at it. It's a TH ligatured, which is also very interesting, because that means that's the Freemasonic symbol, isn't it? For the I am that I am, the triple tau, the TH. But if you turn it through 90 degrees and mirror image it, you've got exactly the same symbol. And Dee was aware of this. Now that's a 42. It's like looking at a 42 in a mirror. Now here's from Dee's Monas Hieroglyphica, which he published in 1564, where he's actually telling you to turn this Jupiter symbol through 90 degrees. He actually, in the word Saturnus, he printed the R backwards. He's got such a sense of humor. It's like saying Saturn, turn us around. So if you do that and you turn it through that, and then you mirror image that one, they're absolutely identical. Now, isn't this interesting? What is that saying? Who made these symbols anyway? Where do these come from? We don't know. We don't know where the origin is. You blend them together like that, and you have what Dee eventually turned into his Monas Hieroglyphica, when he has the sun to it, and the moon, and Aries at the bottom. He's got his Monas Hieroglyphica. That was his way of saying, I can harness the energies of these celestial bodies, all of them, put them together into a harmonious image that you're supposed to concentrate on. And it's going to help focus energy. And that was his thought. Now, I'm going to read a short passage, a little bit, from my book, Decoding Shakespeare, in which you see that what I've just shown you. In Theorem 12 of his Monas Hieroglyphica, Dee turns the symbol for Jupiter around through 90 degrees, as I just showed you. Simply put, he was just mirror imaging them against each other. Now, this is not merely a convenient juggling of planetary icons to accomplish some random astrological poetical end. There's a direct ratio relationship between the physical volumes of these two largest planets. I mean, Dee was undoubtedly alluding to this in his mirror image diagrams. Now, today we have the technological advantage. We can go to NASA's website and see that Jupiter's volume is 14.3 times 10 to the power 14th cubic kilometers. Wow, all right. And Saturn's volume is 8.2 times the same number, cubic kilometers. And from powerful computerized models, then we know the ratio of their volumes is 14.3 to 8.2. Okay, why is that a big deal? Wrap your head around this, because a certain inexplicable magic is revealed in the inverse ratio of their volumes, which is almost perfectly precisely the mirror image of their astrological symbols. It's 42 to 24. That's the ratio of their volumes, and yet the symbols that represent them are the inverse of that. They are mirror imaging each other, and the symbols themselves, as indicated in D's picture above, turning Jupiter and Saturn through these contortions of 90 degrees and then mirror imaging. Same symbol. He's saying something very, very deep. Now, he's not just playing with the poetic imagery to fit his Rosicrucian philosophy of balance and mirror imagery. He was revealing a scientific truth that was way too radical a thought for him to speak or write openly at the time, lest he be accused of even more workings with the devil. He had already been put in the tower by Queen Mary, remember, for having cast a horoscope for her sister, Elizabeth. He had barely escaped being burned at the stake for that. He was, however, taking this alchemical view of his art even further into the realms of magic, and that's why I'm riffing on what Robyn just told us about her magic. You see, Dee viewed his own birth chart as highly auspicious. Here's his chart, and he read in it, he wrote about it very poetically in his diary. He says, I have Jupiter basking with the sun in the serene and warm sign of Cancer. Now, he knew the inherent meaning of the balance, Cancer's 69 symbol, uses it all throughout the Shakespeare puzzle. And since he viewed Cancer as intimately entwined with Jupiter in his own chart, he must have viewed it as similarly entwined with Saturn, because he equates them symbolically by this mirror imagery. Here's a blow up. There's his Jupiter right next to the Cancer. He says, bathing in the warm sun glow of it. And there's Saturn. Now, just see, though, what he's done with this, because he clearly believes marrying these symbols together. Now, remember, this is a technique he used in Mona's Hieroglyphica to create that symbol that I showed you, combining all the celestial objects together. He believed that that was an act of mathematical and poetic purity. Now, look, true astrology is a complex art. In broad strokes, Saturn represents restrictions and discipline, where Jupiter represents benevolence and protection. By turning these two symbols in opposition to one another, maybe Dee was trying to cancel out the oppositional planetary effects, hoping to avert the coming apocalypse that everyone was expecting at the time. But hey, maybe he was successful. It didn't happen, did it? No. But what Dee did do is build an entire cryptographic edifice around these combined zodiacal numerological symbols, simply by adding the serene and warm balancing influence of Cancer. So you've got your Jupiter, your Saturn, and your Cancer. Look what he created with this most perfectly balanced talismanic symbol. Those dates of Shakespeare's fake baptism, 426, and De Vere's fake death, 624, are based on deep, hidden knowledge of Hermeticism, Jewish and Christian Kabbalah, and alchemy. This is not just playing with numbers. This is literally written in the stars. And he chose those numbers to reflect what was there. And so we need to, I think, reflect on that tonight as we look at what is happening, because we are on a cusp of something, and I think everyone's feeling it, something extraordinary, right? Now, so I want to just turn back to you for a moment, Robyn, but before we go to your thoughts on that, I want to hear your thoughts on what I just showed, because to me that's one of the most stunning things. I remember thinking when I first got that, I don't know, 12 years ago, I thought, oh, I've cracked it. That's it. That's the whole thing. Wow. Nothing else to do. Good. I can leave. It turned out to be only just the beginning of this enormous other thing. But we've got to do this one thing. We've got to do every podcast we have a giveaway. So if you haven't won anything in the past, give somebody else a chance. I ask a question, and if you're the first person to answer it in the comments, then you can win a free t-shirt from our Bardcast store. And so we're going to get into that. I'm going to show you. You can be thinking of the answer while Alejandro shows us the Bardcast store. So the question is this. I just showed you that we had the big event of the last major great grand conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter was in 1623. The one that Dee was predicting was in 1583, and there's this other massively important one in 1623. So that's what all the papers are saying right now. Tonight's event hasn't happened since 397 years ago. All right, so here's the question. I think it's up on screen now. What other major Shakespeare event happened in 1623? And while you're thinking of that, let's see what you can win in t-shirt fashion on our barcode store. While they're thinking about that, I want to get your thoughts on what I just showed you, Robyn. Anything shinging for you on that? Jupiter, Saturn, 426624. Cancer. Oh, I mean, it's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I do have something, and this is what is good because I love doing on the fly. And this is an illustration of how my particular receiving modality works and what I just received while Alan was speaking and showing what he was showing. And as I said, I receive a lot through music, and I'll get played like a little clip off my media player. And this one's going to date me. For some of you who remember those little clips on public broadcasting PBS about I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, that whole series of stuff. And also about language. And this, what played in my head while you were talking was conjunction, junction, what's your function? Conjunction, junction. So then guidance said, look up function in terms of programming language. Okay. So this is the function of the conjunction right now.
Ooh, the function of the conjunction.
The function of the conjunction.
Get your funk on. Is the function of the conjunction, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's about
if
to
you
get
have
funky, okay? So it is
I'm feeling
a function is a block of organized, reusable code that is used to perform a single related action. Different programming languages name them differently. For example, functions, methods, subroutines, procedures, etc. So this is what's going on with this conjunction. This is why the feminine first, ladies first, ladies first.
Ladies first.
So we have risen, we have awakened our codes and our powers, more to come. Stay tuned. And now it is also no coincidence that you use the graphic with the wizard, because what I was shown in terms of magic and the masculine, now if what I'm told is like, if mom's not okay, the family's not okay, right? You've heard that before. So mom had to be okay, and then her children are with her, and then now she can be in full power to support the masculine and her mate, the father, whatever, And we're coming together now in this conjunction fully on each of our thrones to rule this together. So, and furthermore, there's going to be another layer of code from what I'm made to understand. And it has to do with the stars and the star systems. And it was also in a lot of the Mayan. I'm shown a lot of the Mayan. I have Mayan past life gnosis, whatever. A lot of the work that I've done and a lot of what I've received has been revealed to me through a lot of the Mayan glyphs and the calendar and all of it. And as you had said, Alan, first of all, I'm a Cancer mama. That's why I'm broadcasting from my kitchen, because it's a power center. It's a magic center. You have all of the elements, water, fire, all of it, right? So it's alchemically perfect. And mine is in the center of my home.
Yeah.
And I am a true Cancer mama. I love to feed people. I love to craft. I have glue guns with all kinds of different colored sparkly glue. I do. And that one of the things is, so 24 and 24, it's 6, right? Breaks down to a 6. I receive a lot from, and kind of avatar for Dark Mother. And some people don't understand what Dark Mother is. And that's Kali, Durga, this primordial mother, right? Primordial mother.
That is the Dark Lady of the Sonnets, by the way. I'm utterly convinced of that. Yeah. We've done.
So she's the one that cleans the house. She's the one that will perhaps put you in a timeout if you need one. Perhaps kick you in the ass a little bit, but love you big time, like massive. And she said that she's taking us from a 6 to an 8, a 6 to an 8. And this is 6 in this full together 24 mirrored. And it breaks down to a 6. What I'm shown is that the going to the 8, 13 star systems. Alan, this was one where I was laying in my bed and I was like so tired, and I was in that in between space, and I heard 13 star systems. Okay, great. Noted. Yeah. 13 stars. Repeat again until I got out of bed and went and looked it up. And one of the first things that came up was about the Mayan calendar and the 13 star systems. And that I've seen this playing out too online, and many are getting this where they're saying that the horoscopes were wrong, which I don't believe they were wrong. And that's not what I'm made to understand. It was, we were not ready in the ascension timeline for that next level. So it's like the 13 is coming online. Rather than like we were operating at this level, now we're getting an upgrade, and it will be 13, 26 is an 8. And that's what was shown to me. And like there's 8 days a week, and the Mayan had an 8-day week. 8 days a week.
Beatles again, they were in on the whole thing. God.
And they show me I have a 7-day OS. It's part of the tech of tuning in. It's part of the operating system that I teach and run on in the mothership, that it goes with these rhythms and algorithms of the days. But what I'm shown is there's a transition and transmutation. And alchemy happens after the 7 days from 12/12 after Sunday to 12/21. Like there's a window there where it goes up 8th day, spins out whatever went on between the 7 days of creation before in the week, and then Sunday, it all kinds of floats around. Monday, it comes in grounds. But that conjunction junction, this is an important time that we are coming together in that full 6-9 balance. I was born on June 30th, 1968, which breaks to a 6. It is the exact center of the year. It is when your coupons and sweepstakes also expire. My sister's birthday is the other one on December 31st, which I'm also shown is a big date as well for that next coming online. We're just going through this gateway. We're coming in full balance. And when we are in full balance, we're in full power in our masculine and feminine within, and with the masculine and feminine. And that many of you boys out there are going to start getting magic. Your remembrance of your power, your magic power, and the wizardry. I keep being shown the wizards, and of course you put that on there. So get ready for your wizard.
He literally
stuff.
was a wizard. He was a magus, and he was communing with angels, and he was doing all kinds of magical incantations and all of that. So but the point is, he had to hide that. He had to hide that at the time, as many of the women had to, lest they be called witches. But we are coming into this new opening. It's a very, very, very pregnant time, isn't it? It's literally we're just about to give birth to a whole new ideas, ways of thinking. Perhaps paradigm shifts will really hasten and become like, oh wow, I just didn't realize that was possible. Like the 4-minute mile, the moment it happens, everybody was doing a 4-minute mile. It's that moment, it's done. Oh, we have reached the moon. Boom, we can do this. These moments where consciousness expands exponentially into, and I think we're all ready for it. I mean, anybody out there ready for it? I mean, come on, 2020. I remember sitting at a conference with you, Robyn and Robert, and the whole team when we went on an offsite. Remember, to what was the name of that? I always forget the name of it, Alejandro. That place in the desert.
The Integratron.
Integratron, yeah. And we had a great time. And everyone was saying, oh, 2020, it's perfect vision. It's going to be the greatest year, right? And it's perhaps in certain ways it has ushered in new ways of thinking, and has, for sure. But boy, it's been rough for most people. And so not to make light of that at all, but we are definitely ready for a new opening, a new beginning, and an awakening. And so I just want to ask, though, do we have a winner? I think Alejandro's giving me the thumbs up. We have a winner. Yay! So who's our winner of the t-shirt of their choice? It is coming up on screen. Alan Armstrong. Congratulations, Alan. Are you aware you spell your name wrong? It should be one L. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Whenever anybody spells my name with 2 L's, I get my knickers in a twist. It's like, oh. Alan Armstrong. Yay! So send us your information and a place to have a pigeon deliver it to your door, and what t-shirt you want, and what size, and what color, and happy holidays to you. Let's all cheer Alan. Yay! So I'm not going to wrap it up quite yet, but I'm going to take you through one other aspect of where I think it's important to tie all this up with a nice red bow. And then, Robyn, I want you to give me any other thoughts that you have on where this is all going. Because we've got this moment. We're at the time tonight where if you want to go out into on your rooftop or into your garden, you can see it. And I'm going to show you a couple of pictures that have been sent to me by a friend, Wally Motlock, from his garden, I believe, in Santa Cruz, California. Wally and I met at the CPAC conference that I was doing in 2016, where I unveiled what I call the universal constant of measure, where I discovered that the basic foot-cubit meter relationship is embedded in the basic proportions of the Great Pyramid. So Wally comes up to me there, and he says, enjoyed your talk, etc., etc. He says, I am Mr. Foot-cubit meter. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, look at me. He's exactly 5 feet. He's a big guy, but he's exactly 5 feet. He's exactly foot-cubit meter tall. So we've become very good friends in the interim since then. So he sent me this picture, taken from his garden last night or 2 nights ago. There's Saturn and Jupiter. Look at that. I mean, look at that. Is that something? We've got to go on the roof. Got to go on the roof tonight and check this out to see how close they are, and it's really a beautiful thing. Now, I don't know if you remember, but there was I've gone prematurely to this, so I'm going to riff a bit. Think different. I'm going to go back one before. Pretend you didn't see that. Think what? We're on the cusp of December 2021. And I really want to encourage us all, whoever we are, wherever we are, whatever we care about, whatever is our passion, make 2021 a new year befitting of defeating 2020 on every level. We need to rethink everything anyway, so let's think creatively, like Robyn is doing, like all of you out there are doing. Spread it, make it infectious. You remember years ago in 1997 when Apple Computer was not yet a juggernaut? Oh, I think I'll hit my... Oh, there's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs started a campaign called Think Different. And Jobs insisted on using that grammatically incorrect line because, as he said, I think you had to really be different. You had to think differently when you bought a Mac. It was a totally different computer. It worked on a totally different way, different system, used a totally different part of your brain, opened up a computer world to a lot of people who thought differently. And so Apple put out a series of posters and ads that only had just that one line, Think Different, and the Apple logo. But who cared? You didn't need the names of the people presented, because everybody recognized them all as trailblazers who thought of ideas, different ideas. It was a very, very powerful ad campaign. Now, I started my Shakespeare journey in 2004. That ad campaign had stopped in about 2002, but it was still fresh in everyone's minds, and I created a series of ads of my own, just as t-shirts for fun, that showed all the trailblazers who had thought differently about Shakespeare and who he was. So I created these things to just for fun. Charles Dickens, Charlie Chaplin, Orson Welles, Sigmund Freud, Henry James, Mark Twain, Walt Whitman, Ralph Waldo Emerson. They were all were dissenters. Some of them were Baconians, some were Oxfordians, some were group theorists, some were just simply anti-Stratfordian because they could not get the idea that the Stratford man could possibly be the writer. No education, never traveled anywhere, and it just didn't make sense to them. But the one thing they had, all of them in common, was they all spoke up and put their considerable reputations on the line. And they were all hammered by the orthodox quackademics for it, who accused them of everything from selling out, as though you could possibly make money from going against the flow on this rather niche idea that Shakespeare's not Shakespeare. It has massive consequences, I believe, but honestly, seriously, they just hammer you. I mean, they cast aspersions on your mental health if you think that Shakespeare's not Shakespeare. Everything from equating them with Holocaust deniers and flat earthers. I started out as an Oxfordian, and the name fit perfectly, so I called my mini creations Think Deverant, and I used Oxford's portrait as the main design. Well, as you know, now I'm convinced beyond shadow of a doubt that this magnificent subterfuge is a work of monumental proportions and of monumental significance to us all, even today. Well, no, especially today. And that it was created by a formidable group which included De Vere, Bacon, Marlowe, possibly others, certainly Dee as the master cryptographer. So I'm going to revive that slogan, Think Deverant, for my new year, and I encourage you all to do the same. Just think different. Think, how can I contribute to this new year that's coming up? Because we must think differently and not dividedly. We must think as a group, not as individuals. We need to come together to heal the drastic polarity of our nation and our world. And I'm not talking politically, though that has sucked up all the oxygen recently. No, I'm talking as human race on what Carl Sagan called this pale blue dot. So just think of this. So as we look out tonight or tomorrow at this very rare event of a great conjunction let us think backwards and differently. Imagine we are on one of those two conjoining planets looking back at this pale blue dot.
That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
So when we look at Saturn and Jupiter tonight, I hope we'll let that perspective shake us up a bit to the realization that for now, this is our only home. And we are its guardians. We are absolutely dependent on each other, and we have the power to decide whether we rise to the occasion or we fail to meet our potential. It's the ultimate question, isn't it? To be or not to be our true selves. So Robyn, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I've just got to do one thing, don't I? I didn't even give the answer. The answer that Alan Armstrong got correct to what was the other major Shakespeare event that happened in 1623 was, of course, the publishing of the first folio. All 36 plays, all Shakespeare's comedies, histories, and tragedies, all put together in one book. That sells for an awful lot of moolah today. So that was the answer. Congratulations again, Alan. So, Robyn, yeah, I that piece just kills me. Just Carl Sagan just summed it up. But let's see if we can do any better than him. Got anything to add to that?
I do. I do.
Good.
And thank you to Stephen B. Halls, who is watching on Facebook. I had to flip over and just look at the comments because everything is divination, and I also want to see what people are saying and asking so that I can address it. But when you were speaking about the year of 2020 and clear vision, and we were talking about that at that offsite, and it was pretty incredible and what was coming. And this is like Mother on the Phone, which is a really funny police song too. Is that my mother on the phone? So I had Mom on the phone came through, and it was like, yes, you are getting clear vision, but wait for it, kids. You have to wait till the end. And what I was being shown was a metaphor of when you're at the doctor's office, the eye doctor, and they're trying to find your prescription.
Yes.
If you were, right? So then they'll put a lens and click, 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 click.
Which is better, this or that?
Right. So what I was being shown is this is the final, like, click, yes, that's it, open. So that we are, as this conjunction junction, what's your function? This function of literally code and mathematics come into alignment, into perfect harmony. That is the 2020. That is the 4, right? Quaternion symmetry.
Yeah.
That makes for that perfect vision, and we can see clearly. And then we're going to see the next thing coming in. And the reason that I brought up Stephen B. Halls, he said, Earth in radio shadow. So another song that has come and been shown to me many times, and what's happening, this is a radio clash on pirate satellite. This is a radio clash. Everybody hold on tight. So this is a radio clash, and it is this conjunction at this perfect time, which is when you get that perfect alignment, it is 0 point and blast. This is, you go black hole, white hole. We are going through a black hole, that creation. Father's in the void, mother is light. So father and mother are coming together in perfect symmetry. Wait till your father gets home. He's coming. So new light. And then I got that we've been clearing our vision and clearing the static this year. This is why we have to remove anything that we aren't, remove anything that is not true, right? All of these truths and all of this has come out. And then I was guided, speaking of Mayan glyphs, to grab it. And this one was in the book, and this I'm going to read because it's what's going down. And this is the 8, the 6 to the 8. And I was shown this new myth. New myth, right? Meeting in perfect 2020 vision, perfect symmetry. And this is a book that I've had for almost 30 years. It's been water damaged, and it is based upon the Mayan glyphs and symbols and calendar. And new myth, qualities, personal myth, meta myth, purpose, miracle on earth, new golden octave, path of innocence. Mom wants us to be childlike, right? And play, and present moment. Child of the sun, you are being called to wakefulness, to your place in the new myth. A great miracle is coming for planet Earth, and the time is now. A new consciousness will be created by the children of the sun as they ascend with the earth to a new place among the stars. A new harmonic of light and sound, a golden octave, is being sounded on earth, ringing in the frequencies of ecstasy, union, and unconditional love. Child of the sun, why did you come to earth? You are the miracle of the new myth unfolding. You came to earth with a purpose, a plan, a master blueprint encoded in your feelings. Live in harmony with that plan. Open to your world, to the great mystery. You are being asked to view your experiences from a mythical standpoint so that you can remember your connection to the larger pattern. Notice the metaphors in your daily life. The key to your personal myth is presenting itself. Your everyday world is infused with a vast mosaic of metaphorical meaning. Everything you do is relevant to the creation of your personal myth, as well as the larger meta myth. From now on, there are no more roadmaps, no more creeds, no more philosophies. And this is what I'm getting a lot. We got to be in flow, right? From here on, your direction comes straight from the universe, moment by moment. This is the path of innocence, the path of trust. Here, each step is walked only once, and the universe speaks in the voice of the present. Feel the key to the kingdom in your heart. This is what our hearts are coming online now, big time, in ways that we will never know. That is my words, and that's what I've received. Know that.
I just go, mine eye and heart are at a mortal war. Remember, that's the opening line of Sonnet 46.
Perfect. This is the end of it. Know that, like the pull of the heavenly bodies, love is neither taken nor given, but discovered and allowed. No one is without love, for love is the force that holds universes together. By simply embodying love, you are living the new myth that will create the wave home. Surrender to love and awaken, child of the sun.
Thank you. Thanks, Robyn. Well, I think that, first of all, everyone should go to motheralliance.org and check. I'm sorry. Mothership Alliance. I got to think the Beatles sang it right. The Mothership Knows. Yeah, Mothership Alliance.org. Check out all the goodies that Ma has waiting for you there. Send people to it. Send your grandmas and send your granddaughters and everybody in between, and a few male rose knights as well, blue rose knights as well.
Very big part of this.
Okay.
You will see when you go to it. You will understand, and right now too, especially we've got some knights stepping up with unbelievable content. I was guided to do a fair, 10 days of light during this time, for this time, and this time of creation to gestate and birth what is turning out to be a template for us to do more things. But you'll see it's right on the menu, Survival Fair. I did Holiday Survival Fair 2020.
Great.
And Mama has been stocking the cabinets with all the children. We have created over the last, when do we start? We started Thursday. We were doing 10 days of light. And Unify began the 7 days of creation following that. And we're unifying with Unify too on some efforts, because we're doing ceremony from Glastonbury and Australia and all of that for all around this.
Oh my, you're busy. Wow.
Very, very busy, very busy. But we have created, I mean, dance and relaxation things and breath work, and all of these things are there now, feeding in as we create them for anybody to enjoy during this next phase through the holidays, when you have more time or you're back from work or whatever and you're feeling overwhelmed. Go to the cupboard. There is so many beautiful things that our mothershippers, I call them, have created for you. And Adam Apollo, who's been on this show, we've got some pieces of his. People have just thrown in things that they had already done. We're doing live events. We have a Temple Ma, kind of like Temple Mount, but Temple Ma, that is open at 7-Eleven a.m. and p.m. Pacific. And we have guest priests and priestesses. And it is just a time to, they will speak, whether they chant or pray or play a song or whatever they feel to come through. It is theirs to take for that. And then we do like 15 minutes of meditation. Some of them have turned into like an hour. We do it 22 minutes, but some of them have gone longer as guided by spirit and have taken on a life of their own. Like we did last night. We had a masculine, one of our Blue Rose nights, do a Ho'oponopono offering and prayer that he was trained in Hawaii. And so people can go there, and any offerings to Ma for our creators, who are a lot of single mamas and mamas and papas with families who, you know, have been pretty hard hit at this time, you know, whether it's $1 in the bucket or whatever, to support these mothershippers that are magnificent. What we created together has just blown us all away. I said we would go into it and not come out the same. It's already true. It was probably true, you know, a day or two into it, but it is our offering to the world. And that was one we were going to have tickets for it and do all of this. And Mama was like, nope, give it away. Everybody needs it. If they can put something in, fantastic, but it is, and we will just be rewarded in whatever way we're rewarded. But this time calls for having some nice things out there. We're doing on Instagram, Facebook, on the site. It all feeds in, and we have our own app and platform where you can go directly to the fair anytime you want, or the temple. And it is a social media platform that is private, that has its own live broadcasting, where we are free from censure and free from any interfering energies, to gather and to do our work.
Excellent. Great. And don't forget that if you go to the temple, Ma, and scroll all the way down, you can go on a carousel ride, and I think that Robyn and I should do that right now.
This is the carnival. I did the same thing. I made it blank at the bottom, so if you need a little ride, yes, you can do that. And then the temple, you can do all candles, and just need a little candle, little chill. You can do that too. The future is pretty, everyone.
Did you spin? I didn't see. I couldn't see you. I just went for a ride on the carousel. So there's a carousel. It really is. It's a wonderful site. Go check it out and support Robyn and everything she's doing, because your mother should know, and the Mothership knows. It's just been a delight, Robyn. You're just, well, you know that. You're one of my favorite people on this whole universe. And thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and all these thoughts and ideas with us. I guess I'll see you sometime in person again. I don't know when that will be, but yeah. Goddess bless you. Thanks for coming on, Robyn.
Mother loves you.
Yeah. Thank you, sweetie. So everybody, I hope you were as thrilled as we were here about that, from all of that. I want to just say that from all of us here at Speed of Light, we're getting ready for the new year, of course. Just a reminder, I'm doing a Reddit AMA tomorrow. In fact, it's been going on all week. Reddit has this thing called AMA, Ask Me Anything. Last time I did one was 3 years ago, and the AMA part went on for 7 days. You have to be online all the time answering if you dedicate yourself to an AMA. So, and that's what I did last time. Now I don't think it'll be that long this time, because we've got the Christmas holidays and other holidays all coming up all at the same time. But nevertheless, certainly tomorrow I will be answering questions, and the next day, certainly for a couple of days, Alejandro is going to put up the Oh, he has. He's put up the address online. So what that means when it says reddit.com conspiracy no poll, if you're a little scared of Reddit, which I am, it's because it's all pretty. There's a lot of conspiratorial stuff, and a lot of it gets very angry and stuff. This is not that. They have this section called no poll. It means no politics. We're not going to talk politics. You know, if you do, you're kicked off. This is all about heart and soul of whatever the focus is, and I'm very privileged to be their first guest on this site. It's a real honor, and so we're doing that. We've been doing it all week, but if you go there, ask me anything. So we are going to take a break over the holidays, but however you celebrate, do it safely. Next podcast will be with my new friend who teaches English at a university in Dubai. That's Peter Bull. So that will be on January 10th. He will be a guest on the Bardcast then. He's a gematria expert and a Marlovian, and has a lot of information for us about Marlowe. So I'm really looking forward to that. But from all of us here at Speed of Light Productions, we wish you all the blessings of this holy season. We'll see you in the bright new year of 2021. Get your function, unction, junction going. What did Robyn say? It's your function junction, and I will add unction. So tune in, bard out, have a lovely holiday, however you're managing to spend it with your family and friends and loved ones. Do it with heart and spirit. And she's still on. She's saying something. What, Robyn? Oh, I thought you were saying something. No. All right. So conjunction. That's the word I was looking for. Of course. How could I forget that? The conjunction function. Okay. Yeah.
To do with Uluru and the rock and the conjunction. Oh, just got that on the phone.
She's still going, everybody. If you want to see her next, go to the Mothership Alliance.org, because the Mothership knows. Ah, the Mothership knows. Think different. Think different. Tune in. Bard out. Goddess bless you. Each and every one.